Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Quick show of hands. How many of you have a teenager at home? Okay, yeah, I see quite a few. So you know the drill. So I have a teenager, my son. He came up to me and said, Dad, I want a new phone. And you know how that goes. All my friends have a phone. I also want one. And so when our kid comes up to us, we're not just going to write a blank check and just give him what he wants. We're going to have some rules. And so with my teenager, I had some rules. For example, we can put controls like screen time limits, content restrictions, location tracking, and putting restrictions on how much time so he's not always gaming, and things like that. So we do that because we want to have control and governance over the situation. In the same vein, in today's world, with all these AI and Gen AI solutions all over, you don't want to just let it run loose in your organizations on your enterprise data. You want to know how your AI is being used. You want to have controls on it. You want to have inference on it. You want to have appropriate access policies, row level, column level masking, and things, and so on. And so essentially, you want to have governance on your data and AI in an organization as the new wave of Gen AI announcements come along. So I'm Vinod Chakravarti. I'm a solutions architect at Databricks. And I'm thrilled to co-present with the Marvell team. A bunch of you are here in the audience. And Marvell is one of the most innovative semiconductor companies in the world. And in fact, a few days back, Forbes magazine said they're one of the best workplaces also. So just saying in case you're looking. So today, I'm joined with Ram. He's the principal data architect at Marvell. He has been the driving force behind their data and AI transformation and their journey. And all of this is made possible because it's built on a solid governance framework platform. And in this session, you'll hear real-world stories of how Marvell is using and modernizing their AI strategy, going from previously having silos of data, siloed solutions, having manual processes, having to stitch together multiple things, moving to a unified, scalable, and governed data and AI platform on Databricks. And you must have heard today in the keynote session all the great things that are coming out with like AI agents, agent bricks, the ability to build production-grade agents powered by Tau, time-tested adaptive optimization, which is a research-backed innovation in optimization that we've introduced. And so you heard from Ali on that. You heard about MLflow 3.0, where we're introducing a ton of new Gen AI features for tracking, for inferencing, for monitoring versioning, and the ability to track your metrics, traces, feedback across multiple areas, like across your dev, your staging, your production, and so on. We heard about serverless GPUs, making it easy to no infra management setup required. All of this is impactful and powerful because it's built on a unified platform with governance as a first-class citizen. And you'll see how we helped Marvell move super fast, but responsibly, because they were able to leverage Unity Catalog, model evaluation, synthetic data generation, and so on, and Genie spaces. And so let's dive into the journey, and we'll discuss how we tackled some of these challenges in both structured, unstructured data, building high-quality RAG systems, and various kinds of scalable AI-powered solutions. So without further ado, I invite Ram to present the journey.
Right. Thank you so much, Vinod. Hi, everyone. I'm Ram. I work as a data architect at Marvell. And by the way, I loved all the new products which Databricks launched today. So I'm very excited for that. So before we get into the fun stuff, just a cautionary forward-looking statements. about the statements I'll be making today. And I can't stress this enough. I'm only showing this to you because my marketing team asked me to do so. All right, so let's get into it. So we are Marvell. We are a fabless semiconductor company. No, we are not the Iron Man comics company. So we are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. So we were founded in 1995. And last fiscal year, that's FY25, which is, our fiscal year starts in Feb, so that's why FY25 was last year. We made $5.8 billion in revenue. And then we have around 6,900 plus employees, and 4,000 of whom work in core R&D, design chip. So yeah, and naturally, we have a tremendous patent portfolio. We have 10,000 plus patents globally, right? And because of our performance, we are in NASDAQ 100 as well. All right, so what do we do then, right? So at Marvell, we design and develop semiconductor solutions to move, process, store, and secure world's data reliably and faster than anybody else. Right? And how do we do that? We have compute, interconnect, network switching, security, automotive, storage, and products in all these areas. But if you want to take back one thing about Marvell today, then let it be this. Marvell is in every corner of the modern AI data center today. So be it your front-end network, where your external devices are connecting to applications, to the back-end network, where the components inside the data center are interconnected. We are a one-stop shop for custom AI infrastructure. Naturally, we're a data infrastructure company, so we believe in data-driven transformations and data-driven decision-making. So we have a robust data ecosystem as well, right? So a sneak peek into what it looks like, obviously confidential and sensitive. And on top of the list is our own design and IP data. So this is our RTL code, our chip schematics, the blueprints, your simulation logs, the test logs, the manuals, and everything that there is to do with it, right? So it's pretty confidential, and we would like to keep it that way. And secondly, as I mentioned, we are into the custom business, custom infrastructure business. So we have customer IP. So customer IP is the core blueprint around which ASICs are tailored. So both contractually and technically, it's a differentiator if you can manage that well. And we've been doing a great job at it, and this also we'd like to keep it that way, right? And finally, just like everybody else, we have the operations data. This is your HR data, your ERP transactions, your Salesforce data, and so on and so forth, right? Every operation data that there is. So as you can see, we have tons and tons of structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, and this underscores the need for very good governance, right? But it's easier said than done. It's not always rosy, right? So show of hands, how many of you think implementing data and AI governance is burdensome? Don't feel shy, I'm not going to complain to your CIO. All right, so yes, I agree with you. I also feel it's burdensome because think about it. If you do a good job, nobody cares because that's your job. You're supposed to do it, right? But if you don't, well, let's not get there. It's not a pleasant experience, right? And why is it that way, right? Generally, it's because we have had disparate systems. By we, all of us historically, right? We have had disparate systems with disparate security controls requiring I/O between each of them, right? If you think about it, it worked very well for decades, right? So you had your databases, your custom applications and everything on-prem. You had some custom RBAC controls probably set up on-prem, and then you have a little bit of monitoring. That was pretty much it. And then you were able to go around with your data governance controls. But then came the cloud era, right? So cloud era, not the cloud era company, right? So with that came more volume, right? More variety. And obviously more teams needed to get involved. And with that brought in organizational complexity, technical complexity, and add compliance to all of this. Well, it's not like we didn't have compliance before, but on cloud, it's another story altogether, right? So traditional thought process of how to go about data governance does not work in the cloud era, right? So that's how it is. It's all about the mindset of how you deal with this, right? But we at Marvell think a little different, right? So if you want to move fast, we want to move at hyperscale speeds, right? And if you want to move at those speeds, data governance is a necessity. It's not optional. Because traditionally, a semiconductor company, in semiconductor industry, it's an even-paced industry. It's pretty much stable. That meant your demand never changed, nor your supply situation, right? So that meant your problem statements never changed. So you didn't have a lot of requirement with data crunching. But then came COVID, and then suddenly we started crunching a lot of data and, to do a lot of things suddenly, right? And then in 2021, we suddenly had a huge uptick of demand, right? And this was probably when most of you or some of you would have heard about us. And it's like when you went to buy a car, but you couldn't because of a Marvell chip shortage. Yeah, so that happened. And then in 2022, a year later, there was a downtrend, right? And that left us with a lot of inventory. This kind of dynamics is not normal in semiconductors, right? At least in the last few years or so. So then came the AI era, right? So now we have suddenly a lot of demand, and then we have to prepare for it. So if you think about it, we were a $3 billion company 4 years ago, $5.8 billion company last year, and this year we are supposed to do $8.2 billion in revenue. I'm not showing off, I'm just saying that because we are a data infrastructure company, we need to make a lot of important decisions. Because we started off as a storage company back in 2018, and then we saw the need and we moved to a data infrastructure company, and now we are a data center company. So these things needed decisions to be made, important decisions organizationally as well as structurally, right? So how did we do this, right? Back in late 2010s and early 2020s, we at Data Office made a plunge to get into cloud-native data platforms. So nobody asked us to do it, but we saw the demand for it. We saw the need because we wanted faster processing, we had to crunch more data, and then we went with it. And then when the unprecedented demand, the ups and downs, when they finally came, we were ready for it, right? We call this the N+2 mindset. It's about being proactive, being ready. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because we want to be prepared for situations. And when you're prepared for it, you're generally not going to think of it as burdensome, right? So the question why we are all here, right? So you understood about Marvell, what we do. We're a data infrastructure company. We like data-driven decision making, blah, blah, blah. But why Databricks, right? Let's dig a little deeper into it. So today, everything needs to be AI ready. It's not just your transactional data or some of your files. I'm talking about everything, which is be it your data on SharePoint, be it your confidential discussions some of you have on public Slack channels, right? Everything needs to be governed because all of us want to be like super productive, right? Especially in the AI era. And for that, we have to think of solutions which can connect through all the domains and give us a very good AI solution, right? Naturally, a company like ours bought out-of-the-box Gen AI solution. So with the same agenda, which is to give people access to a tool so as to increase productivity. They interface their SharePoint data and with the same access controls as SharePoint and open it up. It was a huge success. People loved it. Everything was fine until one person who did not have access to the said data was able to access it, query about it, and got the right answer. Just imagine how scary that is, right? If you don't think about data governance in today's AI world, it's going to be too late because think about this. Data classification, metadata tagging, lineage. You want to classify whether it's restricted data or confidential data or so on, right? And what is in the data? What is the data which you're dealing with? That's the metadata. Data lineage, where are you getting it from? The data quality, is it right or wrong? Access controls, who can have access to it? And with all of this comes monitoring just to make sure everything is going right. So Sorry. So it's extremely important to manage all these things because, I mean, just think about it. Today, it's just about AI applications, right? So you have to deal with only some of these options. And tomorrow, it's about AI agents. I mean, nobody is going to wait for data governance to be ready for AI agents, right? It's extremely important to think about all these things beforehand, before you move into the agentic world. I know a lot of us use agents a little bit today, but it's not at the scale that we would like, right? So that's where Databricks comes in. For us at Marvell, yes, we were doing a little bit of this, but it was like a two-lane road for us. Yeah, we were not able to move at the pace we would really like. And Databricks gives us the 6-lane highway where you have unified controls with unified security controls. And everything is in one place, right? Your data pipelines, your Power BI dashboards, your ML models, your GenAI interfaces, everything with a unified governance model. So the advantage is you have all in one place. I mean, it's unified, right? So if you can't manage what you don't measure, you can't measure it. And then if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So the point I'm trying to make is it's a code by Peter Drucker. So it fits in perfectly with what Databricks has to offer today in the AI world. All right. So with that, I would like to talk about some Marvell use cases that we leverage Databricks for. And again, quick show of hands. How many of you ever tried to build an AI application? Right? Okay. Then you're going to relate to this. You change a couple of things and boom. Right? So building a GenAI application is not like building your traditional app. Right? You change a couple of things and suddenly everything stops working. And jokes aside, that's sort of what we face at Marvell too, when we were trying to interface our product specs data and try to build a chatbot with it. Everything was fine until we reached a deadlock where we were not able to move at the pace we wanted to. We had about 70% accuracy, and then, yeah, so we thought something had to be changed, and we went back to the drawing board. Let's look at the problem statement, right? So each of our products, for each of our products, the product manual was 5,000 pages, 15,000 pages. And it had a lot of tabular data, dense tabular data, deep technical information. This is obviously not like your regular PDF files, right? And with that, we also had restrictions as to what LLMs we could use. So that's the reality of today's world. Not all LLMs can be used in your corporate world. There are restrictions, and we have to respect them, but that's a constraint, right? And also, the accuracy which I was talking about earlier, it was just about 70%. And we dug a little deeper into it, and then we realized the issue was with the evaluation data set, right? So, I'm a data scientist by trade, so I'm not a hardware engineer, and all the manuals, I had to depend on an SME to come up with really good evaluation data sets, because that makes a difference. But if somebody came to me and asked me for it, probably I'll give the first 5 of them with perfection, right? So I'll label it properly, make sure all my points are covered. The next 5, I'm going to give probably a 2-line answers or 1-line answers, and the rest 10, probably a 1-word answer, right? The point I'm trying to make is our evaluation data sets were inconsistent, right? I'm just talking about 1 or 2 SMEs. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 SMEs, I'm talking about a lot of them, right? And that was not translating into a good accuracy, because it's very subjective. When you have evaluation data set at that level, which is very inconsistent, you're not really able to get to a viable accuracy rate, because you don't know what exactly you're measuring. So that's when we moved to Databricks' DAG lifecycle management. So this is the governance plus the lifecycle management. Obviously, I'm not going to go over each one of them, but I'm going to talk about the 3 main points which made a difference for us, right? The first and foremost, it's the synthetic data evaluation data set creation, as you're just talking about, right? So 20 to 30 questions when each product had 15,000 pages, obviously it's not good enough, right? So when Databricks gave us the private preview access for synthetic data creation, we were able to come up with 400, 500, in some cases, 1,000 evaluation data sets. That made everything easier. I mean, it's not like we can't create our own evaluation data sets, but having a framework pre-built where it's easier to just integrate it with your application, it's extremely powerful, right? So that was super cool, and it made a lot of developers' life easier. And the next one is the benchmarking, right? So yes, you have your synthetic data set, now what, right? You have to make sure your model is performing well. So again, Databricks keeps changing their names. So previously it was evaluation results, now it's called traces, and I think I saw something else in today's demo today, earlier in the keynote. But anyway, the point is they have a benchmarking tool, which is again integrated into the life cycle. So this is nothing but an LLM judge, which goes over each of your evaluation data sets and spits out some metrics. Like, for example, for one of them, the context was not sufficient. So it'll tell you, hey, for this particular question, the context doesn't seem to be right. So you might want to add in more files or add more data to it. And for some of them, it's not relevant. So maybe you need to think about it differently. And finally, even if you have everything, it might say, hey, we're not able to get to the level of correctness that we'd like. So maybe you have to change a prompt template or something. So these kind of inputs for the developers are golden, right? Because in majority of the cases, it's not the SMEs themselves who are sitting with you day in, day out and trying to do it. It's obviously not a good utilization of their time as well. So for developers, this is a great tool before you go and ask people to test your app. And finally, the review app. So for success of any GenAI application, it's the thumbs up from the users that is important, right? So how did we do that before? So probably in Excel sheets, or create a small interface where you ask people to come and give their evaluate your results. I mean, that's not scalable, nor it's not governed, right? So it's very important to have a very good framework to get inputs from people. So Databricks came up with something called Review App, which is a gamified interface where your SMEs can go and update important facts or guidelines or so on and so forth. Obviously, this is an example app. I'm not going to show you the real one, but yeah. So did you observe one thing? Over the course of this presentation, I mean, about this particular example, I did not talk about governance. And that's the point I'm trying to make. When you want to develop GenAI applications or be AI ready in general, it's not about thinking about hazards, right? It's not about trying to see, oh, this person might not have access to this data, so I don't know if I can share this with them. Hey, can I share this evaluation data set so that this person can come back with results? You don't need to have these conversations. It's all pre-built in. Once you get the data from the source and apply the security controls and everything that there is, everything flows because it's a unified platform. And that's extremely important. So finally, when we were done with the project, we improved our accuracy from 70 to 90%, a little more than that as well. So Databricks provides us this extremely good framework for development of RAGs. Sorry, I said DAGs there. All right, so with that, I'll like to move on to my second example, and this is my favorite example, which is structured data, okay? So I'll start with some facts. People spend 60 to 80% of the time trying to find data they already have access to, right? Yeah, see, I mean, yeah, that sounds about right? Even though I just made this up, obviously. But it sure sounds true, because I've been in this place where someone called me and asked, hey, Ram, can you give me access to this data? It's very, very important. But then my inner feelings was, bro, you already have access to this, right? And then with a smiling face, I'm like, hey, here you go. So had many such experiences, and that's when I thought, I mean, that's not the entire story. That's not the whole pitch. And what I realized was they're not really looking for data, they're looking for information, right? These are your supply chain analysts, these are your finance analysts, or these are the people who are in the data day in, day out, but because of, say, lack of specialized skill set or whatever, they're not able to get to that information. I mean, yes, they would have dashboards and so on and so forth, but you're not interfacing your entire data set on your dashboards, right? It's very use case specific. So who do they need? They need IT teams with specialized skill set, right? Okay, great. So you have the teams who can do this for you, and then you move on, right? What do you do with this information? Probably build a better clicker. Yeah, you take a decision, right? So who takes these decisions? It's your end users. It's your executives or the analysts who are dealing with the suppliers day in, day out, or whatever. So yeah, this is perfect, right? Or this is the life cycle of any decision management that happens generally. But something's missing. Because this is something we all miss, right? When someone asks about, hey, how do I get to the ROI of a GenAI app or ROI of any AI application, you can probably use this, which is the time it takes to get to the insight. Because in any life cycle, if you're creating a dashboard, you're providing files to your users, the amount of time it takes for you to start with the data and get to a decision is probably weeks sometimes, not days, right? But that's when we at Marvell thought, okay, you know what, let's go ahead and build a structured GenAI chatbot. And then we were like, yes, we started, and then, okay, it's not so straightforward. That's probably why there are no out-of-the-box solutions right away, and this was like probably 2 years ago. And then we went a little ahead and tried to understand the reason behind it. And then probably after like 4 or 5 months, we realized, okay, it's not very straightforward because something is missing. That something is context, business context. Because when users are asking some questions, they're not going to say, hey, give me the revenue for so-and-so BU with so-and-so product, and actually mention the name product and then the exact name of the product, right? It's going to be a little bit more free. I mean, you're not going to expect everyone to write the exact hyphens and everything, right? So that's sort of what kind of made us move to other options in the sense, okay, are there any other solutions? That's when Databricks came up with AI/BI Genie. So AI/BI Genie is that tool with which people without coding experience, with the data they already have access to, can create secure, informed decisions without having to wait for this clicker, I guess, without having to wait for data teams, right? Just imagine how powerful that is. Because your RBACs are already set. The data sets, the huge data sets, are already in there. So why do you have to wait for teams? And I mean, as a person from the data team, I can tell you, I don't want to support people anymore. It's about building something better. And tools like this actually help us focus on building better things to enhance decision making, right? So all of us at Marvell have been loving this. We have been using Genie on a lot of projects, and there are a lot of them in pipeline too. And yeah, we're very excited. So this is how I would like to end this with. Being AI ready in today's world is a must. For that, governance cannot be taken lightly. It's important to, again, whatever we covered about the 6 governance principles, it's important to have them in place because agents are coming, and not just for our jobs, it's for a better future. And I think Databricks is a great tool to get us started with it. With that, I would like to thank Vinod and the Databricks team for giving us the opportunity to share our story. And back to Vinod.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Ram, for walking us through this incredible transformation journey. So to quickly recap, what made this successful wasn't just the AI, but having this governed, auditable, scalable, built on a secure foundation. So Marvell tackled challenges with production-grade RAG applications with the complex unstructured data. They also leveraged AI BI Genie. And so with Genie, they were able to get high accuracy. They were able to build and democratize their data. And all of this is important because leveraging natural language, it generates SQL queries which are trusted, governed, and also with real-time access controls in place. And so this is what makes it powerful. And what I'm super excited and proud of is that this wasn't just a quick POC or a pilot, but this is a start of a strategic roadmap for Marvell to build their AI solutions with governance as a first-class citizen. At Databricks, we believe in responsible AI at scale. So we want to empower you to move fast, at the same time, responsibly. And we've shown how it works even in high-stakes, complex, and regulated environments like Marvell. And I wanted to quickly touch on certain things which will help make this journey even easier. So I'm going to introduce, for example, the Databricks AI Security Framework. And this was introduced a year back. And since then, we've updated it, version 2.0. And there are multiple sessions, so feel free to check out some of the breakout sessions on the security framework. And the idea here is this is a comprehensive framework, which is not just a simple checklist, but it gives you actionable controls that you can implement. So you have a comprehensive framework. So tomorrow, when your auditor comes and asks for how are you ensuring you're compliant with your EU AI Act, with all these other things, US executive orders and things like that, all these regulations, you have everything neatly in one place where you can share and satisfy the audit requirements. And this identifies like 12 critical components of an AI system, their associated risks, and the corresponding controls that you have in Databricks. And all of this is even automated so that you can even map like these regulations to these controls, and you have a working copy. And one key thing here is that this makes the conversation across your organization, across your C-suites, different business units, your legal teams, everything consistent. So everyone is talking the same vocabulary, same nomenclature, and therefore it makes it easier to breeze through these things. And on top of this, if you were in yesterday's breakout session, you would have heard we're introducing the Databricks AI governance framework also, where we're taking into account things like processes and people, the AI organizations, how do you organize, and other aspects beyond this into things like ethics, bias, and so on, in order to build responsible AI systems. And that white paper is going to come out in a couple of weeks, so I highly recommend to leverage that. And we're even making it such that it's going to leverage controls, for example, from your system tables and things like that right in Databricks. So you have a dashboard, a unified view of where you are in your governance and compliance journey. These are all very powerful features that are coming. And before we wrap up, I want to give a quick shout out and thank the incredible team at Marvell. Huge shout out. Your vision, collaboration with us was impeccable. And you have a deep commitment to be all in, and it starts from the C-level, exec levels. And to our Databricks SMEs, some of us are in the room here today, thank you for your tireless effort, white glove engagement with Marvell. It's been amazing to see how far we've come together. And with that, thank you again for joining us today. Thank you.